Our first case is going to be a probation revocation hearing. It's going to be Mr. Ray Allen. Mr. Allen, would you give us your full name and DOC number?
Ray Allen, 603-505.
Mr. Allen, this is a revocation hearing. Your attorney is on Zoom. Mr. Lubin, would you make an appearance for the record, please?
Good morning, board. My name is Jack Lubin here on behalf of Ray Allen.
Mr. Allen, let me explain our process to you. First, I'm going to go over your parole questionnaire, revocation questionnaire. Then I'm going to read the allegations against you. And then, let me see if you only your attorney is here. Then we're going to have a discussion. You'll get an opportunity to plead either guilty or not guilty to the allegations. And then we'll have a discussion as to what occurred. Then your lawyer will be able to make a statement. You'll be able to make a statement and then we'll vote. You understand our procedure?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Lubin, have you had an opportunity to review the parole revocation questionnaire with Mr. Allen?
To the best of my knowledge, I've not been furnished with the questionnaire, so I do think that going through it would be helpful.
All right. Let's go ahead and put it up on the board so Mr. Lubin can see it. Mr. Allen, is that your signature at the bottom?
What?
Do you see it?
The parole board, he has a copy of his own.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. And when you answered those questions on March 28th of 2023, were they all accurate and correct?
Yes, sir.
And are they still accurate and correct today?
Yes, sir.
And you are in fact represented by Mr. Lubin, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And are you ready to proceed with this hearing?
Yes, sir.
All right, I'm going to read you the allegations against you, and I'm going to ask you to enter a plea of either guilty, not guilty, guilty with a statement, and not guilty with a statement. Mr. Lubin, you may advise him as I go through these. Number 4, you were arrested on March the 23rd of 2023 by the New Orleans Police Department and charged with simple battery, domestic violence battery, violation of protective order 2 counts, and simple criminal damage to property. How do you plead to that, sir?
Not guilty.
All right. Those charges were not accepted. On number 10, you have failed to make a single payment towards your supervision fees and currently are $693 in arrears. How do you plead to that, sir?
Guilty.
All right. Mr. Allen, your case has been assigned to Ms. Pearl Wise. Would you please answer any questions she might have?
Yes, sir.
Good morning.
Come on.
You pled not guilty to the incident with your mother. So what did you do?
Like I really only thing I did was like keep the door, that's it. But for as the other stuff, no, she just got mad to what, you know, like, you know what I mean? And just started saying stuff like, you know what I mean?
Then when you said you kicked the door on the way in, or did you kick the door on the way out?
Yeah,
Yeah, what?
on the way out.
Okay. Now, there was a protective order in place on December the 5th of 2022. It was a non-expiring protective order. You were not to be at your mother's house.
But my sister got into it, you know? And that's that only place else I could go.
I understand.
Man, my sister got into it, and that was the only other place I could go.
Yeah. Let's talk about that just for a minute since you brought it up. You and your sister got into it. And there's indication in the record that you started using cocaine, and that's why your sister put you out of her house.
No, I don't do no cocaine. That's
Oh, okay.
crack.
No drugs. No drugs. You didn't crack nothing. Huh?
I never do no crack.
Oh, okay. So why did she put you out?
Cause I was doing, I ain't gonna lie, like other drugs, you know what I mean?
Oh, okay, other
Like,
drugs.
like other drugs, you know what I mean? Like,
Okay,
you know what I mean? I wasn't supposed to do that, you know what I mean? So,
I'm so glad to hear you say that. I was not supposed to do that. Right, and then there was some indication you pled guilty to not paying your fees, but you indicated your sister was supposed to pay it. What is that about?
proud of that. When I wasn't supposed to be outside, and once I came home, I really, you know what I mean? Like really went down the wrong path to where you know what I mean? She probably was, you know, I went there to so she could keep up like, well, I gotta do this. I went up. You know
Oh,
what I mean?
okay. You didn't do your part, huh? She was trying to do her part, but you didn't do your part.
I didn't do my part.
Yeah, and let's just be honest. And what do you need? What do you need to get your life on the right path?
Like I know what to do now. You know what I mean? I know not to be into like I've been gone so long to where I was closed in so much to where I don't think they understand. Like, you know what I mean? I don't know. Like, so well now I know what to do. Like, you know what I mean? I know what I was supposed to do. You know what I mean?
Okay, all right.
I just messed up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Going outside, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Sorry.
I don't even know how to say it. Like I'm trying to say it, but I don't really know how to say it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you know, around the wrong stuff. Like, you know what I mean? To where she probably on some like, well, ooh, I ain't gonna do this, I ain't gonna do that. You know what I mean? I really put to stay inside, do what I gotta do. You know what I mean? Get a job or something, you know what I mean? And I ain't do that, you know what I mean? I just did the wrong thing, you know what I mean? But I know what to do now, you know what I mean?
And do you understand now that perhaps she wanted you to stay inside because of the influences in the area? She knew there was drugs around and somebody would offer it to you and then you'll be indebted to them. She didn't want that for you.
That's what I knew. That's what I knew. That's what I said. I know what to do now, you know what I mean? Get inside and get under my TV, you know what I mean?
Right. Well, thank you for talking to me. That's all I have. Go ahead,
That's
Jim.
what
Mr. Allen, good morning.
Come on.
Mr. Allen, do you think your mother has a right to live in peace?
Yeah.
Well,
But
how can-
I was supposed to be, I was really supposed to be by my sister, but
But you can't, but you can't get along with your sister because you don't want to do right at your sister's house. You go to your mom's house, she had to get a protective order against you, which means that you were just making her life almost unbearable.
no, I ain't gonna say that. I
Well,
probably
that-
went, I probably
But
went,
she got a restraining order.
but I went wrong in the situation. I ain't doing nothing. The only thing I was wrong in was going outside, you hear me?
Well, no, you went to her house, you kicked the door in. You kicked the door in and you came into her house.
All right, but I'm saying I went wrong to what, cause I still stayed out of trouble. You know what I'm saying? I still know that how the only thing I say I had a problem with, like doing drugs, leaving from my sister's house, you hear me? Cause that's automatic. Like I wasn't supposed to go outside. Like I left my sister's house and went outside to the wrong environment. You know what I'm saying going by my mom is the wrong environment. I know this now. You
So
know?
let me ask you this, Mr. Allen. If you don't get revoked today, I'm not saying whether you will or you won't, but if you don't get revoked today, where do you plan to live? Sounds like,
My sister,
and what makes you think your sister will take you back?
cause if I like only reason I was doing the wrong thing.
Well, yeah, I know.
I really like to say like I rushed outside. Like I won't put a rush outside. I just come from doing 11 years flat. I won't put a rush outside that fast. You know what I'm saying? Then everything out there ain't for you. You hear me? Like, and I know, you hear me? If I'm been Joseph in jail, I know better. Like I know what to not to do. I know stuff like not to have around me. But you know, you hear me? I know now. You hear me? I ain't, you hear me?
That's all I have.
Mr. Lubin, would you want Mr. Alan to make a statement before you finish, or how would you like to proceed?
Sure, if there's a possibility for Mr. Allen to give a statement, then for me to supplement and give a statement as well, that would be great.
Mr. Allen, is there anything you'd like to say to the board before the board listens to Mr. Lubin, and then we make a decision on whether or not we will revoke you today?
I can just say, I know the right thing to do, yeah. And I can really say, I really ain't do nothing to, like, you really been mad, you know what I mean? Like, you know, doing all type of stuff. Y'all been in that world moving, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? All I can say, I really ain't do nothing. You know what I mean? I know that I'm really mad, I'm in jail, like, you know what I mean? But only thing, safe, that I was doing the wrong drug. You know what I mean? Something I never even, you know what I mean, that I never do, you know what I mean? Like, man.
Mr. Allen, let me ask you a question. Are you on any kind of medication?
Yeah, right now.
What kind of medication do you take in right now?
Like Rimaral.
Were you
Like-
taking, were you taking anything before you got revoked?
No,
Were you prescribed any medication that you might not have been taking while you were revoked? Before you
yeah.
were, what were you
Uh,
prescribed to take?
I had scripts, like pills, like this. Yeah,
What were the pills for? Do you know?
for to keep me like up and you know, like normal, like you know what I mean?
Why weren't you taking your pills?
Cause I messed up and went out and went by my mama. You know what I mean? When I messed up, went over there.
Well,
My
before
sister-
you messed up and went to your mama's house, when you were staying with your sister, were you taking your medication?
I was straight till I went outside.
Okay. Mr. Lubin?
Thank you, board. Thank you for the time, and thanks, Ray, for speaking. So I just want to tie some things together in response to the board's questions and to Mr. Allen's answers. A lot of what I say is going to be in reference to the packet of support that I sent over yesterday. The reason for that is because the packet of support leads with a release plan that was put together from a client services division worker from my office, Mia Barr, who alongside me has worked quite closely with Mr. Allen, gotten to know him, and sort of like the conversation today, have been able to assess Mr. Allen's needs, to hear from Mr. Allen what exactly he needs for support on the outside, and to diagnose how we got here and how to make sure this doesn't happen again. So you've heard this in Mr. Allen's answers, and I think we've heard this in the questions you asked of Mr. Allen, but the primary focus of our release plan is substance use disorder treatment. The bedrock of that plan is a 28-day inpatient substance use program at LARC, which is, of course, at the border of Louisiana and Arkansas, but also the continued support of me, my office, and Ms. Barr to ensure that once Mr. Allen has completed that program, he has continuing community support to, like Mr. Allen said, make sure that the transition from being incarcerated to being out doesn't end up with him going down the wrong path. You know, Mr. Allen mentioned that he did 11 years flat and then came back on the outside. It's my understanding that Mr. Allen was understandably disoriented, was lacking in supports, the type of supports that my office and his family can give him, and that ultimately things went south. Now, the reason that the substance use disorder treatment is also so important to the plan is because we have been back in touch with Rachel Allen, Ray's sister. Rachel Allen is firmly in support of Ray, and like Ray and like us, and I'm assuming like perhaps the board is starting to realize, understands that the breakdown in communication and the breakdown in the housing plan was a result of substance use disorder. And so Rachel has been very clear that upon successful completion of the LARC program, Rachel is more than happy to give Ray a place to stay. Now, that's important because alongside this being, to my eye, a story about substance use disorder, it's also a story about housing insecurity. The fact of the matter is, the criminal charges that we're facing here today, to which Mr. Allen has pled not guilty and which the board noted were refused by the DA's office, ultimately both allegations stem from allegations that Mr. Allen was at his mother's house. And Mr. Allen has said that the only reason he went to his mother's house, which he acknowledges as a mistake, was because he was put out of his sister's house. The common theme here is that Mr. Allen came out after 11 years and didn't have places to go. Now, Mr. Allen is ready to admit the mistake of having gone over to his mother's house in the first place, but it's our contention that this stable housing plan and the continued support of our office to ensure that if housing does break down with Rachel, Mr. Allen can be placed in a community setting, in a shelter, or something that avoids any protective order violations is going to be crucial. Also, Mr. Allen and my office have discussed a suite of services such as anger management through CADA's Prevention and Recovery Center, mental health treatment through the START Core, where he's going to be reevaluated by a psychiatrist. His needs will be updated and met so that the new prescriptions that he gets are as attentive as possible to his condition. And finally, a referral for Mr. Allen to the Center of Employment Opportunities so that Mr. Allen can start working. Mr. Allen is only 30 years old. He's eager to obtain a job. He mentioned in his conversation with you all that that's the type of thing he knows he should be doing on the outside so that he's staying out of trouble, so that he can pay parole fines and fees, so that he can stand on his own 2 feet and not have to depend on the support of his family to house him, although that support is recognized and valued. And so, in summary, I mention all these things because I do believe that the release plan that we've put together for Mr. Allen is directly responsive to his needs. I think it's directly responsive to the allegations here today, both in terms of the failure to pay fees, which Mr. Allen has pled guilty to, and the allegations that stem from the refused prosecution, which Mr. Allen has pled not guilty to. Ultimately, I think the final reason that I believe this support plan will be incredibly helpful for Mr. Allen is keeping in mind the fact that, at least to my understanding, the amount of time left on Mr. Allen's parole is quite low. It's not insubstantial, and it will matter a great deal to Mr. Allen, but choosing to convert Mr. Allen's final stretch of parole supervision to the inpatient situation at Lark will functionally amount in the same amount of time that Mr. Allen stays under supervision, but will have the added benefit of giving Mr. Allen the supports he needs to set him up for housing after, to give him the foundations for a healthy relationship with substance use disorder and the ability to understand triggers, and to ensure that, like Mr. Allen has said multiple times, he does the right thing, doesn't go down the right path. And so in light of all these things, I do ask that the board consider not revoking Mr. Allen's parole and consider the submitted release and support packet as a sort of alternative model, such that Mr. Allen is allowed to complete 28 days at Lark and then return to Rachel's home, where he can get continued community support from her, our office, and community partners. And I thank you all for your consideration.
Thank you, Mr.
Can I
Lubin. Sure.
address Mr. Lubin? I think you neglect to take into account that obviously Mr. Allen has some significant cognitive and mental health issues, not simply a matter of substance use. It's apparent that he has a lot of intellectual deficiencies that are not drug related or not related to his drug use. And those things are not going to go away. And so I don't know how realistic it is to assume that all of a sudden, if he goes through substance abuse treatment, that all of the other issues are going to resolve himself and everything's going to live happily ever after. He has some significant intellectual deficiencies, which is going to make employment difficult for Mr. Allen. Also, he has less than a month. Well, actually, a month and a day before he's off supervision. A month and a day. And I don't even know what the bureaucracy and the paperwork that's involved. If he would get to work, and he can't be compelled to stay there after his supervision has ended on August the 12th. Realistically, he's probably not gonna get there, soon. And then while he's there, he's no longer gonna be on supervision. And there's nothing that's going to be an incentive for him to stay there because, like I say, his full-term date is August 12th of 2023.
If I may briefly respond to your concerns, I think as to the first concern, I think I and Mr. Allen are in agreement that Mr. Allen's the obstacles he's facing are not limited to substance use treatment and substance use disorder. That is part of the reason that our suite of proposed services for Mr. Allen includes both services at the CADA Prevention and Recovery Center, which is a center that does treat with substance use disorder, but also with behavioral disorders more broadly, anger management services, skills to learn how to cope healthily with your emotions and to ensure that no matter what your level of development or any sort of disorders you may be facing, that you learn how to have healthy impulse control, but also that we have connected Mr. Allen to StartCore's community healthcare, because ultimately I think the dilemma for Mr. Allen and for anyone who is
Just a little bit, I thought you said briefly. I thought you
okay.
said briefly.
Then I'll be brief, but just note that we have referred him to StartCore. He will be evaluated with a psychiatrist there. He will continue his medication management. His medication will be updated. I would just note finally that as you do know, there is
Let me
only
ask one more question. Let's just say we don't revoke him and he goes to phase 28 days. When he gets out, he will be off supervision. So he is no longer under the umbrella of the services that you all would provide.
I can say something?
He's free to come and go, do as he chooses or not chooses to do. And so, he was on medication. He had medication before, but he refused to take it, which is not untypical for people like Mr. Allen.
I would note that there are the first major difference between now and then is that this time Mr. Allen is leaving incarceration with the support of my office. That is,
I guess my point is, how will that support continue when he is no longer a client in the sense that he no longer is under any form of court supervision? That's my question.
yeah. So client services advocates stay on cases for a month to 2 month grace period after the release of incarceration to ensure that community partners such as START, which aren't tied to one's legal status, get to continue working with Mr. Allen. My final thing I would say for you, because I do understand your concerns about LARC and with these programs in general, but the two incentives that keep Mr. Allen in LARC, first and foremost, are his sister being crystal clear that this is a condition of his staying with her. And second, the fact that Mr. Allen, while he may no longer be on supervision one way or another, does still understand that these are the steps you need to take to live a happy life, but to stay out of jail. Mr. Allen has no interest in continuing a cycle of incarceration. And while parole may no longer be the mechanism that leads to his incarceration if he doesn't follow these steps, he's well aware that the NOPD and other law enforcement agencies will. Mr. Allen is committed to making a change in his life because he doesn't want to keep continuing this cycle. And so that's what I would say.
Thank you.
Thank you. Pam, ready to vote?
Yes.
Okay, Ms. Wise?
All right. Hopefully, for me, Mr. Ray, for me, and I'm just one vote, my vote is to revoke your supervision because of what you have done.
Well,
And you need to understand, I'm speaking, I'm voting now. You need to understand how to control yourself. You need to, and I think that's your mom, that's your mother. And you shouldn't be going over to her house. Don't speak at this time. I find you guilty of, because of the protective order, there was non-expiring protective order that was in place, that you admit you knew about it. You also admitted that you were using drugs. So my vote is to revoke your supervision, and Best wishes to you, sir.
Thank
And I
you.
hope you follow the Orleans plan when you get out. Get their phone number and look them up when you get out.
Thank you, Mr. West. Ms. Jackson.
Mr. Allen,
All they're gonna do is, yeah,
Mr. Allen, we're voting now, sir.
Mr. Allen, I find that you have violated the conditions of your parole, and my vote is to.
Mr. Allen, you have 2 votes to revoke. My vote would likewise be the same. It might be a little different if you had more time to be under supervision, but you don't. You actually have violated your conditions. I find you guilty of both of the charges as well. So your probation, your parole has been revoked today. Good luck to you. Mr. Lubin, thank you for your input. I hope when he gets out, he follows the plan that you have provided for us.
Thank you for your consideration.